Welcome to the Priestess Diaries. My name is Dani and I'm a priestess, and this series is about awakening divine feminine energy, goddess consciousness, and to awaken the priestess that lives within you. So if that sounds enticing, then join me each episode exploring different priestessing practices, ways to awaken your intuition, reclaim your magic to awaken the goddess within. So today's episode is really about exploring what is a priestess, particularly a modern day priestess. Because I think a lot of us, particularly if you're drawn to this channel, you've probably heard of the word priestess before. Maybe you've seen beautiful priestesses cloaked in velvet robes, wearing beautiful ornate headpieces, walking around beautiful ancient priestess temples. And I feel like in today's day and age, we don't see that so much anymore unless we're playing dress up. But in the modern day world that most of us live in, particularly the Western world, I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, for anyone who's new to this channel, we don't really see these ancient temples as they once were, which is okay, because what I really want to get to on this channel is how we can take these ancient practices and weave them into our modern day lives and make this ancient practice relatable, make it tangible, make it something that you can blend into your everyday routine. Because I really feel like this is the new wave of divine feminine energy that a lot of us understand is awakening more and more on the planet. More and more people are understanding what is masculine and feminine energy. More and more women, not just women, men as well, but predominantly women, I feel, are being drawn to attend women's circles, to explore these ancient priestess ways, are being drawn to divine feminine energy. And why is that? It's because the goddess is rising, and that means that our consciousness is awakening, that we are undergoing an ascension process. And in order for us to ascend, we really need to remember is probably the best word, because we can never be fully disconnected from our mother, from the divine mother, but we have forgotten her in a way. We have kind of pushed her to the side, and we've glamorized this hypermasculine way of doing things, live in a hypermasculine world. We internalize these hypermasculine go-getter attitude to do, to go. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we do need to embody our masculine qualities in order to get things done and to assert ourselves in the world. But we need to have balance. Balance is key, particularly when we're talking about divine feminine energy. And this is why reclaiming the priestess for ourselves and also for the world is so important, because the world, I really believe, is yearning for the mother. It's yearning for the divine feminine. It is yearning for the return of the priestesses. And so this channel is to help you awaken to what's already inside you. I'm not saying I have the answers by any means. Everything that I'm going to share, I hope, is a remembrance that what is it you're seeing through this channel is actually within you. I hope that this series inspires you to start diving in to maybe tarot cards or oracle cards, or blending your own tea, or tapping into your intuition and leading from your heart. You know, that is so important in today's day and age, with everything, all the chaos that's happening around us. The old world is crumbling, and what's happening is there's space being created for us to birth something new. And so what we really want to do is be intentional about what it is we actually want to birth, and how exciting that we can create. From nothing, we can create everything. From nothing, everything is born. Think about the womb. Think about the whole birth process and how chaotic it can feel to actually conceive a child. But once that child is born, I don't think any mother would ever say that no matter how painful her birth was, she would take that pain away if it meant that she wouldn't have her beautiful child wrapped in her arms. And this is the exciting thing about where we are in the Earth's evolution today. We're birthing this new world, and those of us that feel called to walk the path of the priestess, to walk the path of the divine feminine, of the goddess. If this is resonating with you, you'll know because it will feel expansive and true within your body. Then this series is for you, and it's really important that we start to reclaim this ancient priestess way, because we are going to hold the space with love and tenderness and compassion for all the changes that are going on around us, all the chaos. We can be the pillars of light, the ones that are staying grounded within our bodies, because we know that through darkness there is always light. And that is something so key to being a priestess. Without me going off on a tangent, I want to kind of talk about what it means to be a modern day priestess. And I hope that what I'm going to share with you lands with you. And if it does, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. So definitely let me know if this speaks to your heart as it does to mine. So let's talk a little bit about my point of view of what makes a priestess. Now, the first thing I believe is that a priestess is devoted to self-mastery. She is always working on herself. I don't know if working is the right word, but she is self-aware, and she is always contemplating, reflecting on herself, on her light, on her dark, quote unquote, always looking at how she's showing up in the world. Because a big part of being a priestess is not just understanding the spiritual concepts, the spiritual teachings from like a conceptual level. A priestess is someone, in my opinion, who embodies the teachings. She walks the talk. She doesn't just spiritually bypass or learn something really cool that she read and just recite it. She's not someone who is just speaking about lofty concepts. She is someone who really integrates the teaching. And that doesn't mean that she's perfect. That doesn't mean that she's fully got it figured out. I don't think we ever do, because while we're here on earth, we are inhabiting a human body, right? And we do have an ego. So we're always going to be going between the two, going between our Christ nature, who we truly are, and our ego selves. And that's okay. But the point I'm trying to make here is that a priestess is devoted to her self-mastery. So she's aware of her ego. And when she acts out of ego, rather than who she really is, which is love, then she can reflect on that. She can contemplate that. She can forgive herself or forgive others. And she's always, as best as she can, trying to embody the teachings and be that way shower, that light, that pillar of light, that lighthouse for others. Some of you will know that I study A Course in Miracles. One quote that I really love from A Course in Miracles, and it's on my vision board: teach only love, because love is what you are. And I love that, because I truly feel like that is the priestess path. You teach love by being love, by acting from love. And when we don't act from love, that's okay. That's normal, right? Because we're always going to forget our nature, and we're going to stumble sometimes, and that's okay. But let's not beat ourselves up for it, and let's come back to love time and time again. Even if we have to come back to love 50 million times, that's okay. But a priestess is a woman committed to walking the path of love. A priestess is a woman that leads from her heart. You know, I mentioned before that she walks the way of love, the path of love, and she does that by leading from her heart, not just being in her head, over analyzing, analytical, logical. What should I do? What are they doing? Trying to compare myself to others or judging others. She walks the way of love, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it sounds radical, even if no one else is walking that same path. If that is what her heart calls her to do, then she does that. And sometimes what is most loving is not always the most easiest thing to do. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is wake someone up from an illusion, maybe a story that they're telling themselves where they're getting stuck in victim consciousness. And sometimes we think people pleasing is the most loving thing to do, being nice, being polite. But actually, when we come to the heart, when we listen to the direction and guidance of our heart, sometimes the most loving thing to do is taking out our sword of truth and delivering that truth, which maybe is not what someone wants to hear. So a priestess is always listening within and trusting that guidance that she gets from her intuition, from her heart space, and she doesn't doubt it, she doesn't question it. And the more that she does that, the more that she strengthens that relationship. A priestess is a wise woman. You may have heard that term before, wise woman. And she's a wise woman because she's lived. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She's not afraid to go down into the trenches. A priestess is a woman that's not afraid to go and journey into the underworld, because she knows that in her darkness, in the shadows, that's where her power can be found. That's where her light can be found. That's where the feminine power can be found. And when I say feminine power, what I mean by that is the Shakti energy, the life force energy, the pulse that breathes life into all living beings. And she knows that that pulse can be found in everything, in all matter. So she's not afraid to journey into the darkness. And because she's not afraid to do that, she becomes a safe space for others. If you're the type of person where people come to you and kind of offload their problems and they share things with you that maybe they've never shared with anyone before. People often will come to me and tell me their deepest, darkest secrets, and they say, you know, I've never shared this with anyone before. I can't believe I'm telling you this. I just met you and I never talk about this. It's so deep. That often comes by the priestess doing her own shadow work and walking into the underworld and being comfortable with being in that darkness. She's not afraid to go there. And by doing so, she's able to hold space for others. And this is not something she needs to verbalize or tell people. People can sense it. People can feel your energy. We're all energy at the end of the day. Like, we are spiritual beings. We're having a human experience. At our core, we are spirit incarnated. Regardless if someone's spiritual or not, or they consider themselves spiritual or not, we're always picking up on the energy from all living beings around us, regardless if we're aware of it or not. If you're the kind of person where people are constantly coming to you for advice when they're going through a hard time, it might be someone that you just meet for the first time and you have a really, really deep conversation and they're like, wow, I never usually open up to people that quickly. It's because you are a safe space and they energetically feel that from you. And that is a really important part of being a priestess. It's able to hold safe space. A priestess is a woman connected to nature. She does not see nature as apart from herself. In fact, she doesn't see anything in the material world as apart from herself, because she understands that we are all connected from the one source. A priestess is a woman that's connected to the cycles of the moon, to the cycles of nature, because she understands they are a macrocosm of the microcosm that's happening within her body. She's a woman connected to her menstrual cycle and honors her blood, honors the cycles of her body and of Gaia, of Mother Earth, because they are one and the same. And that is the divine feminine energy. It's cyclical. It's not a linear path. The masculine is linear, but the feminine is cyclical. So a priestess is connected to the cycles of nature. She feels one with that cycle, and she knows that when there is darkness, there will always come light. It's like the moon is constantly waxing and waning, and a woman's body is constantly fluctuating in hormones. Often when we are menstruating, our hormones are very, very low, and it's normal for us to experience a withdrawal from wanting to be out in the world. We might want to go inwards, we might want to hibernate for the few days where we're bleeding, and that's normal. A priestess honors that time. She understands that her body is not supposed to operate the same each day, and she honors that aspect of herself. A priestess is a healer. And when I use the word healer, I want to take it back to its original definition. To heal means to make whole. And because a priestess sees the oneness within all, she sees the interconnectedness between all living beings on this earth, whether it's a plant, an animal, a mineral, or the human standing in front of her. She understands they are all a part of her, that she is not separate from them. And by having that awareness, by holding that space, by seeing the divinity within everything, she is a healer. Naturally, she's a healer. And I really believe that's what Jesus and Mary Magdalene were doing. They saw people as who they were. They saw them as their divine selves rather than seeing them as their ego when someone's acting not in accordance with who they truly are from their highest accord. They recognized their divinity and they held them in that with so much love, with so much tenderness, with so much compassion. And from that space, they were able to perform miracles. They were able to heal the sick because they didn't see sick people. They saw them as whole, as beautiful, as perfect as God's creation. And that is the beautiful power of the divine feminine energy. She can bring the parts that we've separated into oneness again. Even though we can never actually separate ourselves or separate from one another, we perceive that we have separated it. That's our ego's function. Truly, when we remember the divine feminine within us, when we come back to the mother, when we embody these traits and we step into our inner priestess, that's when we can start to come back into this oneness where we're connecting from the heart rather than the mind or even the eyes, where we see someone as separate, we see that tree over there as separate. But when we come into the awareness of the heart, remember I spoke before about how a priestess leads from her heart. From the heart, when we connect from the heart to a tree, to another human being, we can start to perceive oneness. We can start to see how we are actually not separate from that tree, our work colleagues, from our partner, from our family. We understand that actually we have more in common than we think. We actually aren't so different after all. And by doing that, I don't think people realize how powerful and healing that energy is when we're able to recognize and see the divinity within the person standing in front of us. That has the power to heal and awaken someone and to bring more unconditional love, healing, and awakening to the planet, which is exactly what we need right now. While Earth is going through her evolution, her ascension, we humans are contributing to that by our frequency. And the best thing we can do right now is to work on ourselves, to take time to go inwards, to turn off the news, to turn off from all the chaos that's going on around us, not to get involved in the polarities that are at play at the moment, not getting involved in all the political nonsense, and coming back to our hearts, because remember how I spoke in the beginning, we are birthing a new world. The priestess's role is to kind of harness this beautiful energy by working on ourselves to hold what it is we truly want to birth. It's so important that we birth from love, not from fear. And so ultimately, if I'm to summarize all of this, it is the priestess's role to walk the way of love, because we are always creating either from fear or from love. That is A Course in Miracles. And the priestess understands that love is the highest path. Love is the only reality. Love is all that's true. So rather than perpetuating fear and scarcity and getting caught up in all the chaos around her, a priestess comes back to what is true. She comes back to her heart, her connection with Source, which is love. That is the only truth. And from there, if you can hold that frequency, you not only heal yourself, you not only awaken more of who you really are, but you help others to heal. You help others to claim love, step out of fear. And how beautiful is that? What could be a more beautiful path to walk while you're here on this earth? So that's what I really wanted to share for my first episode. I think in future episodes, I want to make it more vlog style, so it won't be me speaking at the camera. But for the first episode, I really just wanted to set my intention and talk about what I really feel is a priestess. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have any other ideas or thoughts about what a priestess means to you, what really is walking the priestess path. And I also just want to thank you all for being here. If you're tuning into this video, if you've stayed for the entire episode, then I really commend you, and also trust that you're here for a reason. There's a reason why this episode, this series, this YouTube video has landed on your For You page, and there's a reason why you're being called to this content. Nothing is random, my loves. Nothing in this life is a coincidence. Everything is divinely orchestrated. So if you're here, trust that you are being invited to walk the path of the priestess, to walk the way of love, and to birth this new earth that we're co-creating together. If you like to see more content from me, then make sure you give this video a thumbs up. That really helps me out so other priestesses can come across this content. Definitely hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with future episodes. And until the next episode, take care, my loves, and keep walking with intention, devotion, and wisdom, because that is what the earth truly needs right now. And I commend you for that. Many blessings to you, my sisters.